Always interesting to hang out with James Casbolt, and we've come to the Cube recording studios in Truro. What are you going to do here, James?
So just going to record the title track for the second album, Killer for Life. So it's the first time I've been here for months. Yeah.
Killer for Life, that's a good title.
Killer for Life, yeah.
Is that any kind of connection to Natural Born Killers, the film?
Yeah, I think it's basically to do with biological experiments to increase aggression and rage. It's kind of going down the forensic route. We were talking about this before, some of the tactics that the forensic psychologists use in the law enforcement culture. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
For sure, yeah. We had a very interesting conversation in the car about that.
Yeah.
And you were talking about forensic psychology and no-touch torture.
No-touch torture, yeah. So yeah, it's a torture to shatter you, but it doesn't leave any marks on you. So you can't go and complain to the international community afterwards because there's no evidence of any marks on you. And they use three main tactics. The first one is off-topic comments. They start off with off-topic comments. So whatever you say or do, they change the subject. So they're basically saying you don't really exist. You're nothing. You're irrelevant. So if I talk about these nice trees today, they'll say. Well, I give you one good example with a forensic psychologist I was dealing with. They use reversals with this tactic, and so I said, I was there with him, and I was just being polite, just making conversation. We were talking about drinks, and I said, "Oh, are you more of a coffee man? Do you like drinking coffee?" And he said, "My wife does, but if I'm no good, she'll send me back." So it's like, why are we talking about your wife?
Yeah.
Why are you saying and being no good and being sent back? And what he's doing is he knows my stresses.
Right.
He knows my losses.
Yeah.
So and being sent back, being no good, being a failure, being
Okay, it's like a trigger word.
wives, losses.
Right.
So what he's saying is, it was quick thinking on his part. It was very insulting. It was very cruel.
Yeah.
So he reversed it, and he made it off topic. It was quick. I have to give it to him. It's quick on his part, but it's complete contempt for me. He can say whatever he wants, and I can't do anything.
Yeah.
He can assault me as much as he wants, and I can't do anything. So your rage is being more and more internalized.
He must have prepared that because obviously
he's trained for that.
He's trained,
the forensic psychologists sit in rooms together,
yeah,
and they work out the tactics. How can you degrade? It's about degrading.
Yeah.
And how can you? Well, okay, whatever he says, change the topic, and we know his stresses, we know his losses.
Right.
So we're going to change the topic and reverse it, and then throw in the stresses to really hurt him. So you're getting a 1, 2, 3 punch.
Yeah.
And not just a single punch in the gut.
Yeah.
And then if you say to him, if you react to it and become reactionary and explode, they'll say, "You okay? How's your mental health?"
Right.
And again, you're the crazy one.
Yeah. How do you manage to keep your cool under those circumstances?
You become zen, you become quiet. And then in the end, I became so zen and so quiet, they started becoming reactionary.
Right.
And they started exploding, and it started to affect their health.
Yeah.
And they kept writing reports. He's not talking anymore. He stopped talking. He stopped speaking. He's isolating.
So isolating is the term for like just going into yourself.
Yeah. And then they'll say, yeah. And then they use they use another one, which is back turning. That's a physical tactic they use.
Right.
if you're standing there, they'll turn their back on you. But they'll do it like they're trained to do it covertly, so you can't quite put your finger on it.
Yeah.
So they'll say that they'll pretend to do a text or something.
Right.
There's no reason why they should turn their back on you when they do a text. And then one psychologist used to sit there across the room and put his hand on his face, but do this.
Yeah.
And but you know, you don't. If you're putting your hand on your face, you don't do that. And then if you say to them, "Why are you doing that?" they'll say, "Are you okay? How's your mental health?"
Right. So it's just like a process of psychologically breaking you down all the time, isn't
Degrading you, constant
you.
degrading you. So
Yeah.
they shatter you, fracture you.
it? Yeah.
You internalize your rage. And then the third, this is the big three tactics. The third one is take away your identity, take away your name.
Right.
So even after you've been there 5 years in prison, you know, they know you, they spent every day with you, they know your name, but they keep asking your name. They say, "What's your name?"
Yeah.
So if you're going to collect a parcel, collect your dinner or something, they say, "What's your name?" They know your name. They've known you for 5 years.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, they're saying to you, "You're nothing. You've got no identity. You're not a person."
Yeah.
You know, we don't. What's your name?
I suppose it's just to make you doubt your own sanity and also
Gaslighting.
dehumanise you.
Gaslighting, and it's the big three. You know, fracture your identity, take your name away, back turn in, and the first one I mentioned. You know, and it's when I went to one prison, they said, "What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?" Well, you tell me. You came for me at night. You know, and I was sitting in my flat, and all 6'6" guys in black uniforms turned up with guns, and I disappeared into the night.
Yeah.
So you tell me what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, we don't know. We don't know why you're here."
Right. So most prisoners wouldn't be aware of those tactics. I mean, did you have to?
No, most 95% of prisoners, they let them get to them. They start exploding, become reactionary.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Well, look, it's true, you are evil, you are bad." So yeah, I mean.
Did you kind of learn this as it was happening, kind of intuitively, or had you studied?
Well, I knew a lot of the tactics before, but this was like a master class in it. This was, you know, big education in psychological warfare, no-touch torture. It's effective, but it's based on psychology, and psychology is very much becoming a pseudoscience, which is being replaced by epistemology and philosophy.
Yeah.
So it's in decline. So many things are in decline.
And you were chatting about various techniques they had, like without actually torturing you, to like put you under psychological pressure.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned if you'd, you know, thing about if you lose a baby or something.
Yeah, they've just got a list of triggers. This is why MK Ultra is pretty. It's simple really. You know, in Transformation of America, they were saying, "Oh, Hillary Clinton or this politician or whatever has their programming codes," like it was super sophisticated, but it's not really. All it is a list of your losses.
Right.
So, you know, if a person's lost a baby at Guantanamo Bay, they'll put them in a little box where they can't move, and then they'll put a big loudspeaker next to their ear of a baby crying.
Right.
And that's psychologically break you, using your stresses, using your past losses.
Yeah.
But it leaves no marks.
That's dark. You also mentioned in the film 28 Years.
28 years later.
And it's a connection to Penzance, of course, where, you know, we both spend a lot of time.
That's what the song's about.
That's what this song's about, yeah. So that's.
I don't know if we could just take a little pause and maybe talk about in front of the studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
To show the studio.
Absolutely, yeah. This is fascinating. Okay, I'm going to take it out now.
I don't know if
We're about to go into the Cube recording studio to lay down your track. And do you want to tell us what the track's about?
So yeah, it's titled Killer for Life. It's about biological experiments to increase rage and aggression, which it's interesting because some of my early interviews I did years ago, I think it was a group of psychologists. They ran it through a audio system. They reversed speech. Because what they think is, if they reverse someone's speech, they can the person will talk about their innermost issues by analysing their reverse speech.
Oh, that's interesting.
So what they did was they analysed my reverse speech, and I kept repeating over and over again, I can't rest, in a child's voice. I can't rest, I can't rest, I can't rest. And when I was growing up as a child, my mother wouldn't let me rest. And I had this idea, whereas I wanted to, when it all starts to come down, I wanted to create my mother's voice on this audio system with loudspeakers. And the idea was to connect the speakers to tanks through streets. This was a kind of a new weapon system based on sound, and run the tanks through the streets and command and order everybody to stay indoors in an emergency, and use my mother's voice to do it. But I think Danny Boyle beat me to it with the idea. In the 28 Years Later film that's just
Did Danny Boyle make that film?
Danny Boyle, yeah. In the official trailer, there's a woman's voice with, it's like a BBC war report.
Yeah.
And it says, stay indoors, and it keeps repeating over and over again, there's no discharge in the war. There's no discharge in the war. There's no rest in the war. And the woman's voice is saying, don't look at them. Men go mad for looking at them. And I just talked about this in a recent interview I did, about not looking for certain things. And there's definitely, because this is the basis of the track Killer for Life, and in 28 Years Later, there's definitely references to St. Michael's Mount and the water causeway that goes there. And one of the beginning scenes, Samson the giant chases the two main characters along the water causeway at night. And that's a direct reference to Cornwall, the giant of St. Michael's Mount along the water causeway.
Yeah.
Very powerful scene.
So when did you write the lyrics for this track, James?
Well, I just finished writing it this week. I just finished the second verse this week.
Right.
Yeah. I've been writing it a few months ago.
Yeah.
The bare bones of it. And, finished.
So that's the one you're going to lay down today?
Today,
in the recording
Killer for
studio.
Life, yeah.
Killer for Life.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of, to summarise it, it's about biological experiments to increase rage and aggression. So you're killer for life.
Because when we were chatting in the car, you were saying about how, it relates to like London being, biological attacks.
Hi, Tom. Sorry.
And how, cities can be repopulated, I think was the term, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, 28 weeks later. The one before, they've been waiting 10 years for the third instalment of it's just come out. But that was the virus broke out in London.
Yeah.
Most of the population was killed. And then the US military came in and repatriated the city, brought new settlers in, new colonials.
All right. I mean, what do you think the new settlers were?
This was the new generation that was going to repopulate the area.
Kind of human.
Yeah, human, and it was, to colonize the area again.
Yeah. Because when you're talking about this reverse speech, I don't think this is anything new, because back in the 60s and 70s, people were analysing the lyrics of the Beatles and you know, some of the heavy metal bands, and reversing them.
Yeah.
Like there was coded messages within those. There's quite a few people have looked into that.
Yeah, I think the idea is once you reverse someone's speech, you can get to their innermost issues. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And then it's for the number.
Yeah.
So killer for life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
You okay? I mate. Bloody hell.
Sounds nice. So yeah, that beat's produced by a talented producer in the States called Trenton Kipps, and I've just bought the rights to that instrumental. So,
How do you know Trenton?
just in contact with him. There's an interesting story behind that, which I'll explain a bit more
Yeah.
at another time. But he's a very talented producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's made all the beats on the drum machine and everything like that. So,
It's quite a complex operation, this, isn't it?
yeah.
So that's the back track, is it?
Yeah, that's the beat, that's the instrumental.
And you add the lyrics.
Yeah, this is an R&B track, singing track.
So it's not so much rapping, it's more R&B, this one.
This is R&B, yeah.
And the album, is that going to be predominantly more R&B than...
There's a lot more R&B and singing in this
Yeah.
one. It's soul, but there's definitely going to be some hardcore rap tracks as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
So this track is called Killer for Life,
Killer for life, yeah.
and all the tracks will have different titles,
Yeah.
and you don't know what the title of the whole CD will be.
Well, I think the second album's going to be called Killer for Life,
I think that's a strong title.
and this will be the title track, the single for the second album.
Great. Well, it's really good to document this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I hear it coming through, put it to that phone.
Just put it through now. Put it to it now.
Okay.
Are you recording, Bob?
Yep.
Cool.
Cause I'm the killer you're gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting on tonight. On tonight.
It's a rap.
Know me, it's that killer, the one you're gonna love for the rest of your life. Cause I'm the killer you're gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight. Cause I'm the killer. extravagant life, and I'm the man forced into the light. When you say you love me, it's for the rest of your life. Only 'cause Commander blessed on the mic. Me, she and you, she and me. It's on tonight. I'm the killer you're gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight. In the sea you shine. In the dark you're mine. Death row crime rhyme. 'Cause this is billboard time. Death row crime rhyme. 'Cause this is billboard time. 'Cause I'm the killer gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight. 'Cause I'm the killer gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight. They wanna hate, but they can't right our way. They can't stop us. Stop us. Killer for life. I'm still alive. Killer forever. All of my lives. Ride or die. You and me, it's the perfect crime. In the shadow, in the light. In the shadow, in the light. In a box, 1/10 for my life. They wanna hate, but they can't right our way. They can't stop us. They can't stop us. Killer for life. I'm still alive. Killer forever. All of my lives. Ride or die. You and me, it's the perfect crime. In the shadow, in the light. In the shadow, in the light. In a box, 1/10 for my life. 'Cause I'm the killer gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight. 'Cause I'm the killer gonna love for the rest of your life. When I say we're getting it on tonight. On tonight.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's fire.
Wicked. Good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were chatting about the Manchurian Candidate and the way that they use psychological triggers.
Yeah, so it's where they've taken it to an extreme. The CIA's tortured you so badly where you can't even remember it, you blocked it out. And then what went on while you were being tortured that you've blocked out, they'll just roll those triggers back out to you over the phone. Okay.
It's got some inner rage. Come on, here we go. Doesn't trust humans. Did chat on the Journey to Truth podcast, and those guys are interested in the whole super soldier program. But I think you said it's more or less over now.
Yeah, you're talking about super soldiers being decommissioned. That's quite accurate, I would say. So now, really going forward, it's about going into the 50s, going into the 50s, my 50s,
Yeah.
and then things changing into what we talked about in Journey to Truth.
Yeah. Because it's difficult to, for a super soldier to move on, isn't it? Really,
Yeah, definitely.
especially when you're older.
Yeah. So the only options are, well, like I say, it's going into political realms, going into entertainment realms. Have to see where it goes. It'll be interesting next couple of years.
for sure.
You're still a soldier. You're always a soldier. You have to survive the next couple of years.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we all have to become soldiers somehow.
Yeah. Soldiers of love.
Yeah.
I was indoctrinated into that. I started live operations in my teens with them, and that was under the cover of drug wars in London and in areas like Brighton. I was given diplomatic immunity in my teens, and I killed my first man when I was 16 years old in Brighton, and that was a child porn ring that was being run there. There was a guy involved in that, and I shot him outside a place called the Sharp Bar on the Brighton seafront in broad daylight in front of multiple witnesses. I've got over 200 confirmed kills since I was a teenager, all through the 90s, and from 2000 to 2012. And then I was, after that I was traded over to the NSA, and I moved to America